everyone, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show YouTube channel. The best way to support the show on this YouTube channel is to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and or share it with a friend. I hope that you guys enjoy this episode, and whichever way you choose to support the show, I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. I hope that today's message and episode brings some bit of positive change to your life. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show. I could not be more excited to bring today's episode to you. As a lot of you know, I just had Evolve the Retreat, which is the in-person tangible experience of evolving with myself and the rest of the Evolve community. This was an open retreat where anyone that listens to the podcast, that is friends on Instagram, that is a part of my coaching programs, anyone at all could join. And we had such an incredible group of people, and there was a lot of transformation of personal growth and development, deep connections that were formed. And it really was just such an event and a weekend where we're all actually kind of having a hard time putting words to it. So I figured today I would bring two of the guests that were at the retreat, bring them onto today's show and share with you, how important it was for them to take the leap of faith, to sign up for the event, to, put themselves out there in an uncomfortable position where maybe they don't know anyone. And I believe they did it with the hopes that maybe they would form some connections. Maybe they would meet someone that they really align with. Maybe they would have some personal growth, right? And it's my hope that today's episode really does inspire you to do the same in your life. It is my hope that it also inspires you and encourages you to see other people more fully. Because one thing that we'll get into inside of this episode is how when you really break past the barriers of what people look like, how they dress, how they present themselves, maybe what they say on the forefront of meeting people, when you break past all those barriers and you get to the real stuff, the deep stuff, the vulnerable stuff, you'll see that we're actually very similar. We can come from completely different walks of life, but we all desire a lot of the same things, which is to be seen and heard and know that we bring value and to be accepted and loved and to have a space of non-judgmental love. And that's exactly what we were able to provide for each other. So today I have two guests on today's show. I do wish that they were in studio with me, but they are actually together in Michigan. And these two actually very quickly, pretty much immediately became known in the group as the Sarahs. They are both named Sarah. They are both from Michigan. They both spell their name with an H, and they are both incredible souls that I feel so lucky to have connected with. And so today we have Sarah Budzyn. She is an NPC competitor, a Transcend HRT specialist, which is the hormone and peptide therapy company that I've shared with you guys before. If you guys go through my link, chances are you may actually already know Sarah and talk to her. We also have Sarah Forsythe. She is an NPC competitor, currently in prep for NPC national level competitions, and she's also a naturopathic medical student. So the Sarahs, welcome to today's show.
Hi. Thank you so much for having us.
How cool is it that you guys are together? So where are you at right now? What are you doing?
We're in Lake Orion, Michigan. Sarah actually lives like 45 minutes from the office. So when you guys reached out to have us on, we were like, let's do it in person. Why not together?
That's awesome. So if anyone had seen you guys at the retreat, I mean, I was asked multiple times, oh, they're rooming together, right? Or, oh, they're best friends, or, oh, they came together, right? You guys literally did not know each other before this retreat, right?
Nope.
Just clear the air here.
I know a little bit. Actually, the first time we saw each other, we didn't even know we were in the retreat together. We were both walking down the hallway, and we both just kind of like made eye contact. And we were like, just like a little like, are you here for what I think you're here for?
That's awesome.
We both went to the lobby downstairs to have dinner with like some of the same girls, and we were like, it was very, very odd.
Yeah. So I remember we had done check-ins, and then afterwards I ran into Sarah as we were wrapping up. I don't remember if you came in later or you hadn't gotten like the memo yet or what happened there, but I remember meeting you and you're like, oh, like, I'm Sarah, I'm still here to check in. And I was like, oh, you're Sarah. We have another Sarah. And you're like, yeah, I'm from Michigan. I was like, she's also from Michigan. I'm like, what are the chances of this? So, okay, tell me a little bit about you guys initially meeting. I remember seeing that photo of you guys in the group chat at dinner, and I was just so happy to see everybody at dinner hanging out. So tell me about meeting, and when did you guys click? Was it like an instant thing? I mean, I think it probably was, but
I mean, pretty much. Like we went out with this group of about like 5 other people or 4 other people, and we were kind of just. It felt like we were just looking, like casually looking around for like a dinner place to go eat. We finally like landed on a place, and we all just started like opening up about what brought us to this retreat. And I remember like she went before me, and I was like just thinking, she was like, "Hi, I'm Sarah, I'm from Michigan, I just turned 30." And I was like, okay.
you're like, you took my words out of my mouth, because that's me.
That is me. Like, and she was like, "Yeah, I was just like a week ago, I turned 30." And I was like, I just turned 30 a week ago too. Like, just the coincidence of
her birthday is exactly 1 week after mine, same year.
Yes.
So that's also another weird thing.
So she like continues talking about why she's here. She's like, I'm just like, I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, but like, it was like, I'm going through just like this, like, I just turned 30. Like, there's a lot of like revelations you kind of like have when you just turn 30. And I was just like, holy crap, I need to like connect with her, because like, I just felt something. Like, the entire time I was just like, I kept on like, there's just like a chemistry. I was just like, okay, I need to connect with this girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's like just a soul sister. I just
Oh,
no, absolutely. And I know all throughout the entire weekend, we would like be talking about something, and like, we would just be like, wait, me too. And they would just be like, are we as surprised at this point? No.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want to pose a question to you guys. Is it really possible to evolve in as little as a couple of days?
Absolutely.
Did you guys have expectations going into this event, as far as like, oh, like, what did you tell people you were going to do? And then how did that line up with like what you did? Does that make sense?
I went in very open-minded. I didn't really know exactly what I was wanting to take from this weekend. And so I went in I know I had spoken to you about it. I'm like, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm going to be coming alone. And you're like, everyone's coming alone. Yeah. Like, this is what it's about. And I don't know, just, I guess you welcoming me with open arms, and just knowing that like, it was even though we're all so different, we're all coming together there's some sort of commonality, and we all wanted to, we didn't know what we were coming in for, but we all came out with something so much more, and this bond with each other that was just literally indescribable. Yeah. Like, I cannot put it into words.
Yeah, it's so hard to explain. Like, while we did have this like connection and this like chemistry thing, I still like, it didn't feel like we were like secluded and doing a little thing. It was like there was still this like element of like everyone felt like family, and there wasn't any break-offs. Like, it just felt so, there was just so much connection.
Yeah.
Like, just get-go.
I agree. And I think something that I felt, and I feel like I witnessed with other people too, is that while, yes, we had, like you said, those like crazy connections, like almost literally the same birthday and same name and all of that, I feel like we were able to really recognize each person's different like value and attributes and the things that like made them them. And we just really appreciated it, similar to like how in an orchestra, the violin is beautiful, but also the flute and the drums and all these different instruments are so beautiful when we're together. And I feel like without even trying, like, it was effortless for us to just recognize like, oh, that's you in the group, like someone else that comes to mind is like Valentina, right? Like, she was like quick with that sarcasm, and even Trish, right? They had the funniest like sarcasm, jokes, witty humor that like, thankfully the whole group, we all have a good sense of humor. So I don't think anything was ever offensive. It was like so funny and almost unexpected at times. And even like, the more quiet or reserved ones, when they would come out, you're like, oh, you're actually like really powerful. And I thought that was really, really cool that we're able to be so confident in ourselves, which I think allowed other people to be confident in themselves as well. What were your feelings when like booking the event? You know, you have that moment of like, I'm not sure I want to go. Okay, I'm going to book this event. Because I imagine there are people at home right now that are thinking about doing an event, doing a coaching program, going to the next expo, and they're feeling nervous. They don't know if it's going to be worth it, kind of thing. You know, what would you tell them?
I got okay. Honestly, the first thing that came to me when I was looking at doing this retreat, I was listening to your podcast and you put out like a solo episode about the retreat. And I just knew like instantly something just aligned with like deep in me. It was like you need to be here. And I was actually scheduled to be doing Junior USA's that this weekend that we were gonna do that.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so like I just felt like um there was a lot of things just not aligning for me. And it just kind of felt like a nudge, like a big, like, you know, a higher power nudge, like, hey, you should probably check in with that gut reaction you had to
Mm,
that retreat. And so what I would say to someone is if you're feeling resistance, breakthroughs on the other side.
that's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say, and so Emily, you and I, we actually met for the first time in person
Mm-hmm.
a few weeks prior at FitCon, and I knew I had been on the fence about it, you know, just everything on Instagram, your podcast, and everything like that. And like, this has been a very transitional time in my life. I've made a lot of decisions for myself in the recent weeks, even
Mm-hmm.
months, that have kind of just changed my course of direction in a couple different ways. And when it was, I was always on the fence of like, that would be really fun, like that would be really cool, but it's like, oh, but I'm so busy, and oh, I have this going on, and I have this going on. And instantly after I had met you and been able to spend some time with you in person, I was like, I need to go. I absolutely need to go. And then I know I had reached out to you and you're like, come, come.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I have nothing to lose. You know, I need to take some time and step back and work on myself. And I really think that this would be a good environment to do it in. So
Yeah. And, you know, one thing I would probably add to what you guys are mentioning is it's always the right thing to invest in yourself. Like it is always so worth it to invest in yourself, whether it's through an actual event, which I am just a huge believer in. I think there's something so powerful about being in person with people. That's something that I definitely have really missed. And I know that our world situation has changed the way that a lot of businesses do business and even the way that programming is done, and people have kind of made it to be this at-home thing, which can really get really lonely and isolating at times. And I think it's important to put yourself in groups of people and to be around people in person, because even this, right, like I love being able that we get to have this talk. Without social media, without Zoom and all this technology, we wouldn't be able to do this right now. So I'm so thankful for that. But do I wish you guys were sitting in these chairs next to me? Like, yes, absolutely. So I would say if you're able to ever be in person with people, there's just so much power in that, because there's an energy inside of the room that I think is really felt when you're there, you know? So I think it's important to do that. But also just kind of know, like, I always have it on my radar every single year. It's like, okay, Emily, how are you investing into yourself? What are you doing to make yourself better? What are you doing to, you know, to cultivate personal growth? What are you doing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations? And when I look at it like that, then it's not such a big a deal to go to an event or doing a coaching program, because I've simply chosen the lifestyle of personal growth and of evolving. So if that's my lifestyle, then it's like, okay, well, how does my lifestyle reflect that? What am I doing in order to promote that growth? So I love that you guys share that, because I think, you know, a lot of people, they feel that fear, and it's important that even when you feel the fear, just to go ahead and do it anyways, because like you mentioned, like often there's so much breakthrough on the other side of that. You know, it makes me question, I'm like, why do we want to always skip or like not do the things that are best for us? Like we won't blink an eye to work more, right? But yeah, to like go to some personal growth thing where we may have breakthrough and new best friends for life, we're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's like we're not willing to get uncomfortable. We're so used to just like we're just so used to like the things that feel like I don't know, like we live in this comfortable space and it's hard to like exit that. And sometimes it doesn't, it just takes like a nudge, it takes a gut reaction to something, it takes getting to a point where you're like, I can't live this way anymore. What I need to get like out of this comfort zone. And it's like taking that next step. And that's exactly like, I feel like a lot of the women and men that came to this event were willing to they were willing to do that. They were willing to like, and we all came with like completely different, I don't know if you, what you would have to say about that, but like, I feel like we all came from different like walks and like we all had different things that we needed to get out of this. And I feel like the majority of everyone was like doing just that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, some of the conversations that I just personal conversations that I had with everyone, like everyone's scenario is so different. Like, you know, you have Chelsea, who just, you know, she has gone through her own huge loss in her life, and you know, Stephanie, who is a travel nurse, and she's been dealing with, you know, all of these different things with COVID. And I know that it kind of, to relate what you said earlier, like the biggest thing that she said right off the bat is like, I miss like personal touch, connection, human connection. And like, that was like, it was huge. And I think it was something that all of us didn't really necessarily come there for, but we all got huge out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, that's one of my favorite things is just creating, you know, a space for that to happen because, you know, people sometimes it's hard to break through that barrier. It's hard to be that first person to like make the first step of being vulnerable, which is why I like to create little scenarios where it just happens. And sometimes you're a little like lovingly shoved into it, right? It's like, okay, now turn around and bare your soul to your partner, which you don't have to, but often like, what I found is like there was no pushing when it came to that. Like, yes, I set it up like, okay, now share what you feel comfortable sharing. But when I looked around, oh my gosh, I had this one moment, and we can kind of get into some of the modalities that we did, like the breath work, the meditation, the visualization, which was on day one, all in the Alpha Elite Yoga Studio or Alpha Land Yoga Studio. And that was really powerful. And I just remember having this one moment of looking around, you know, after we'd gone through the breath work, meditation, visualization, the individual journaling, then we were sharing. And I remember looking around and just seeing, I didn't even have to like teach you guys how to hold loving space for each other, which I feel like previously, like I would go through like, okay, like this is how you hold space for each other. I just looked around and you guys were just naturally doing it. And I think it's because you all came with the same heart posture that was open, and you were open to love. You were open to care. You had no judgment toward others, which is just so beautiful to see. And that word judgment, it kept coming up over and over when I would ask people what they were thankful for in their partner, right? And they would say, I was just so thankful for a place to share with no judgment. And it just showed me like how much people judge others in society. It showed me how much fear we all have around being judged by others for for who we are and being actually who we are, but also for our faults and our failures, which everybody has, you know? So I kind of want to hear from you guys. What was your initial experience with, you know, that section of it? Like, had you guys done breath work before? Are you into meditating and visualizing? Give me a little bit about your experience, your background, and kind of what that was like for you.
Okay. Honestly, this was probably one of the most pivotal moments of the retreat for me. I have had zero exposure to breath work, and at the time, I guess getting into the experience, I was just kind of like, okay, it's like a meditation thing. We're just gonna like, you know, get zen, you know, breathe, like relax.
And I'm over there like, watch this.
Far from it. I feel like I tapped into places that I've closed off to myself, places in my heart that I didn't even know I put a block on or like a restraint on. And at the moment, I didn't really understand what was happening to me. I just knew like there was just like a torrential down like pour of tears as I'm laying here on this mat. Like it's screaming, like ruining my makeup. I'm like, oh crap, why did I even bother? And at the time when you had us turn to our partners and like share like what that experience did for us, I was still so just in like shock of what just happened. I'm like, I honestly don't even know what to tell you. I'm still crying. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I need to process this.
Yeah.
It took me a bit to get to a point to understand, like, oh, like to make the connection of what was going on there. And it was, and honestly, the way that the retreat the way you had it set up, it built on each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed me to like realize and make those connections as the weekend went on. And it was like, oh, this next thing that we did can tie back to that place that I closed off because I feel like I can access it again. And
Wow.
honestly, like the liberation that I felt after that session in particular is just undeniable.
Wow, that's beautiful. And, that's why I speak sometimes of my personal core values, right? One of my core values is freedom. And people always think that it's related to politics or something. And while, yes, 100% send it fully, for me, it's so much deeper. It's so much wider than that. It's freedom of heart, of mind, of soul. So for me, I desire freedom for everybody. And I feel like what you just expressed is that you got freedom from these things that were holding you back. And sometimes, like you mentioned, we are so unaware of our own blocks. We're like, why is this not coming to me in my life? Why am I not able to break through this area in my life? And we have no idea that we've put up this like great wall of China, so to speak. And it's like those things are trying, but they can't get through that until we actually become aware and let those things down. So I think it's really beautiful. And I think it's really powerful actually that you were able to experience that. And I'm excited to see kind of like how that opens up your life for different things, because rather than there being a closed door with a bunch of locks and padlocks on there, now you have an open door. And I wonder what can come into your life with that open door.
And just to add to that, I feel like already, like I feel like I can attest to feeling like a different person. Like I feel like I had these dimensions that I needed to grow into, but I didn't have that like unlocking moment until that moment. And now I feel like I'm able to fill those places. And it's like this puzzle piece I've been looking for in my life. And
Wow.
it's like just this like spiritual identity is honestly that piece of life that I felt like I was missing, and that allowed me to access it again. And I just feel like there's a difference in how I carry myself. I'm like able to, like I said, like grow into those dimensions I've been building, but now I can like take away the scaffolding and it's like, okay, here's the building, like it can stand on its own now.
Wow, dude, I have chills. I literally have chills. I'm like having to turn the fan off. No, I'm kidding. It's not the fan.
I can't even say anything like better than that. Like what?
No.
She has her own story.
Yeah. And that's what's beautiful is sometimes it's not even the same thing, right? Sometimes it's different parts for different people, but our own experience is like so beautiful, and it's always what we personally need, right? So I'm curious, did that experience bring anything up for you, Sarah Budzyn?
I guess that was kind of just like a stepping stone rolling into every time we tapped into this place throughout the weekend, which was a lot.
I know.
Way more than I was expecting.
I know. At a certain point we had in the group chat, we're like, okay, no more feelings. Just fun.
No more feelings, no
we
more
tapped
emotions,
out.
just fun. Like,
Yeah.
There was but I'm so grateful for it because it really exposed me to putting a lot of work into myself that I don't normally do. We're all so busy with, like you said, I have no problem working endlessly, going to the gym, doing just my daily routine day after day after day, and just checking all these boxes, right? And the biggest thing that I have been missing is time for myself. And I was even listening to your Monday message this week, and it's like, recharge your battery. And I'm like, here we are. Like, here we are. Like, that is just, it's something that I have needed to implement in my daily routine, that, it's, we go, and you can only go on 110% for so long before you crash, and just filling yourself back up. And something that I found myself repeating to other people and myself throughout the entire weekend was, you can't pour from an empty cup, over and over and over again. And it's something that I found myself saying to a lot of everyone at the retreat, but like, it is something that I needed to listen to myself too. So that really allowed me to tap into that and realize that this is something that I need to keep up on, because I have found so much personal growth just within a few days. Like, what happens when I do this over and over again, right? So
Right. Oh man, that's so beautiful. And I feel like a lot of people can really relate to what you just said. And, you know, it's really hard to break from our patterns of just go, 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 right? Because it's kind of the world that we're in. Even like the social media feed, it's like you're seeing, you know, 12 different emotions in the matter of 10 seconds, right? We were actually never meant to process that much. And I think what it does is it actually diminishes our feelings, diminishes emotions, and kind of puts like a halt on those things. Because in order to actually go from something that's really sad, a post of, you know, one of your best friends losing someone, which is so sad, and then going to see someone married, and then going to see something that makes you angry, we were never meant to go through that array of emotions that quickly. And so I find a lot of times people start to turn off their emotions in order to process and look at all of those things. So it, you know, we were able to do by creating moments of stillness and moments of intentional connection to the deepest parts of ourselves, to each other, to our spirituality. We were able to see what's really there. And often we're too busy to even notice what's really there. Sarah, I actually did get to see you in a different light because we had met at FitCon Utah in person, right? But I got to see you in a different light this time. And I remember telling you, I was like, oh, you feel a lot. Like, I had no idea because, and like I mentioned, I don't think it's like an intentional thing, but you know how, what I said before, the barriers where it's like, okay, the way that someone carries themselves, the way that they speak, whatever. I think the initial surface level contacts that I got with you was just this like really hard, strong, you know, like not emotionless, but like that things didn't hit you that much, you know, and those are all beautiful attributes, and you are strong and you are hard and you are hardworking. But I just saw you in such a like beautiful and like delicate is the word that comes to mind, like such a delicate way, which is funny because I'm sure people like that follow you on Instagram or at work, they're like delicate, like Sarah's like a hard ass, right?
I'm going to hear a lot about that.
Oh, totally. But like it's both. It really is both. And if the guys at the office are watching, know that that is her at her deepest heart. And you better be nice with her, even when she seems like she's in a bad mood. Be delicate with her, okay? She probably just needs a hug. Okay, end rant.
I can attest to this. Like even just like sitting in, like we would just like at the end of the day, like just like kind of like have these like late night chats. And
we had some good conversations.
We had some great conversations, and her ability to just like boom, open up. Here's the vulnerabilities. Like this is my life. This is what I'm going through. Like it's truly such a beautiful quality that you were able to just like heart on your sleeve. Like here I am, and just the way that we were able to both like almost like just instantly both get to that place and like challenge each other.
And I think it's really interesting because like I texted you, I think it was the day we were coming home, right? And I was like, I was thanking you for really just everything that we had, you know, built and connected with over the weekend. But it's like, I remember specifically saying, and I fully mean this, like we've had deeper talks in the, you know, now week that we've known each other more than I have had with some of my very closest friends. Like I don't even know if ever I've gotten to that deep of an emotional, spiritual, just overall level of connection and conversation and challenging each other on certain things and it would just kind of open up and unlock more doors to get deeper and deeper into it with anyone prior. Like it's just, I don't know, it's not something that I normally do. It's a lot of times I feel like, you know, I kind of just lock things up and take it as it is and just move on. But it was really cool to experience that with you and get into these places that like they really only exist in my head, right? Like
wow.
not certain things that I share or get really deep into. And you made me think in a lot of different ways, which I really, really appreciate. I love that challenge of like, well, what about this? Or what if you look at it like this way? Or, you know, what if this is what this means? And it was just really cool to get like an outside perspective, even though we're so much alike.
That's so beautiful. And I can attest to that as well. I mentioned one of my friends was in town the week before the retreat, Lauren Conlon. And one of the reasons why I love spending time with her is because she always gives me like the alternative thought to what I'm thinking and processing. And she'll say, well, okay, so I hear you, but the argument to this would be this. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, let's dive into that more. So I agree with you. I also, relationships and relational experience is something that I am just so in love with. Like, I love doing relationship in the form of, friendship and family and romantic and whatever. I feel like I have a heart's passion to develop relationships and to develop deep and meaningful and intentional relationships, because I know it can be really beautiful that can come out of that. And so one of the things I would say, because I heard a lot over the weekend, exactly what you just expressed, that I feel closer to these people than I feel to like anyone that's kind of in my life right now. And I would actually encourage you guys to try it out with the people that you've known forever. In other words, say, hey, let's sit down and let's do this 10-minute meditation on self-love, and turn the lights off and lay down and do the guided meditation together. And then afterwards say, like, what did that bring up for you? Right. And ask them questions. And I've had some really beautiful moments of creating connection simply by inviting other people to do what I do, which is, breath work or meditation or sometimes, leading the conversation. And for me, what I've found is before going into like a really deep conversation, it really does help to do some sort of modality. That's why we did the group movement, right? We weren't really there to work out. We just wanted to like move that energy around, because I could physically sense the like kind of nervousness, anxiousness in the room a little bit. And I'm like, all right, we're going to move this energy out of here real quick. So we just did jump squats till we died. No, I'm kidding. We did an array of different things. Minorly true. But so I mentioned that because I believe that everybody that was a part of this event and you guys can be this cultivator of space for now the people that are in your communities and the people that you love, and whoever it is that you want to connect more deeply with. Try out some of these things, and maybe it goes well and you guys connect deeper, and maybe they don't enjoy it, and that's fine too, and you can figure that out. But why not try, right? I know there was like, for example, this one friend's coming to mind. She lives in Arizona, and we weren't really like close. We were just kind of like just meeting. But I could tell that there was a lot in there, and I could tell it wasn't just going to come out. There needed to be that like shared experience. And I really believe that shared experience helps people to feel safer, helps people to trust and to open up more. And that's why I think before going into this like really deep conversation, have a shared experience. Maybe it's a hike to the top of the mountain, and then you take some time to breathe, or you pray together, or whatever it might be for you, right? So create that shared experience, and then just be intentional about the conversations that you choose to have. Even last night, one of the speakers at church, he was saying how there are intentional relationships, and then there are like oops accident relationships, which sometimes end up being great too, but like the intentional relationships, I think, are where the depth and the width can really occur. So, okay. So after the meditation and visualization, had you guys ever done a visualization like that was guided? And if so, or was it your first time? And if so, was that weird? Did you connect to it? Were you able to connect to it right away?
I have never before. So it was really cool to kind of be walked through that and see what it brought out of me. What kind of, because everyone was different, right? Like so different,
Mm-hmm.
especially hearing, your partners and like a couple of the other girls around us, just like, here's what I felt. And like, some of them were completely different. So it was really cool to see what it brought out and see, what your mind kind of goes to in like a guided thing like that.
Yeah.
And how it differed from everyone else's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's what's cool is like, even with the shared experiences, we all have such an individual journey that we have, which is really cool. And, I've been reading a lot recently about just the brain and neuroscience and how we were created. And the more that you learn about how we are created, the more you learn that we are created to create, literally. So like, what I find is people often go throughout their lives and they kind of turn off this creative aspect of themselves. They turn off their imagination. You know, as kids, we are so creative and imaginative, right? Some of us have imaginary friends even, and we create these stories, and our family or our parents or whoever tells us stories, and we like see the whole thing in our head, right? But then we go to school and then work and then, you know, jobs and then meeting up with friends, and all of a sudden it's been years and years and years since we've turned on the imagination and the creative aspects of ourselves. And for me, I just wonder what would happen if we all stimulated our creativity, our imagination every single day. What would happen? What would we create? What would we be about? What kind of ideas and businesses would come out of us? So I think it's cool that you guys were open to experiencing that. Okay, so we'll kind of transition a little bit now. So, all right, you guys got hooked up with some pretty cool swag bags, if I don't say so myself. Yeah, did you guys enjoy those?
Oh my gosh, it was so much. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I was blown away. Yeah, it was incredible.
So shout out to our event sponsors. We had First Form, we had Cured Nutrition, and also Icon Meals, and they definitely hooked it up. One of the things that we actually put in y'all's bags was the Cured Nutrition Rise. Rise is a nootropic formulated by Cured's very own in-house clinical herbalist. It contains a blend of lion's mane and cordyceps mushrooms, as well as rhodiola, I'm not sure I'm saying that correctly, ginseng, and broad spectrum CBD. Lion's mane helps with mental energy and clarity. The cordyceps is actually oxygen utilization, which is used by many endurance athletes. And CBD aids in balancing the supplement out so that there's no crash. And the benefits you can experience are, again, the mental clarity and performance. There's no caffeine, so it's great for a midday coffee or energy drink replacement. And I know a lot of us are drinking too many energy drinks these days. There's no jitters and no crash, so it really is an incredible product. I personally took some right before today's show, and I just love how focused it keeps me in my interview so that I can have full focus and clarity. I can think of the next question as the person's talking. It helps me to have just this free flow with my thoughts and my speech, and really helps me to just stay focused on the task at hand and not get sidetracked. So if you guys are looking for something to replace that midday coffee, I highly recommend it. Right now, Cured is extending an offer to you, my listeners, and you can grab Rise for 20% off by visiting www.curednutrition.com/Emily Hayden and using coupon code Emily Hayden at checkout. That's CURED nutrition.com/Emily Hayden and coupon code Emily Hayden at checkout to save 20%. This blend of functional mushrooms, adaptogens, and cannabinoids will leave your brain on fire and your to-do list asking for more. So if you guys are interested in trying this out, not only can you get an amazing product that really does work, that you truly are going to enjoy and end up DMing me about, but while you're there DMing me about how much you enjoy it, go ahead and send me your receipt. So right now I'm going to do a giveaway throughout the entire month of May. If you purchase something from my specific link using my code, which is down below, then just email that receipt to evolvewithemily@gmail.com. I just want to say thank you guys for supporting the show. If you guys don't know, Cured Nutrition is the first partnership that I have had on the Evolve with Emily show. And this is really going to help me to be able to grow and do more on the show. So I really want to make this partnership as successful as possible, and it's a win-win all around because you guys get an incredible product that I am very confident that you guys will love, and you're able to really support this show and support the show's growth and where it's going next, so you guys can feel good in supporting a quality brand who I trust and love, who you will get the great product from, and be able to just support the mission of the Evolve with Emily show. Okay, on day one, the first full day of the event, after all of the deep inner work, we wiped our tears and then we got to it. Tell me about your experience at Alpha Land. How was that for you?
Oh my gosh.
Kids in a candy shop. Like 100%.
Just literal fitness Disneyland. Like it was just amazing. It was really cool how each kind of gym had like a different dynamic to it. And like different feel. Like there's like the, like more reserved gym where it was like air conditioned, the music was quieter. And then like we both walked past and like went into like the big warehouse gym with like all the doors open, like the music blaring, and we're like, this is where we belong. And then I know because it was our first time lifting together, and I remember just like, I was like, okay, like let's see, because like most girls just don't really lift heavy, right? Like, right?
It's true.
And we were like just kind of getting warmed up, and she's like, and Sarah's like, we started off with like RDLs with dumbbells, and she like goes and like grabs the 80s, and I was like, all right, yep, let's run it. this is my girl. Yeah.
You know, I was kind of thinking the same because I was floating around a little bit. I would like do a few sets with everyone and try to make sure everyone was doing well. And I looked over and you guys are just like balls to the wall, crushing it. Like it was amazing to see that. And I was like, of course they found each other.
Yeah. And I was just like thinking to myself, like, so I normally, me and my boyfriend will work out together. Like we'll like, and we push each other, and it's like, I love it.
Yeah.
But to have that like feminine energy that's like right there with you, like literally, like I've never experienced, like honestly, that was like such a pivotal thing for me because I'm so picky with like my training partners. And like
I am too.
I was like so pleasantly surprised at like how much she was like, okay, we have 5 more reps, you're not stopping.
Yes.
Like I just felt so pushed, and like it was just so great to have that, like I said, that feminine, like like I didn't even know. It's just it's different. It's
I'm very selective of who, like girls that are like, oh, I want to lift with you, and I'm like, yeah, you probably can't keep up. And, like Sarah and I, we were just like we were like here, and then like every other set we would just keep going up higher, like just pushing each other and like upping weight, and like we had it was such a good.
It was just more confirmation. I'm like, who is this girl? Like.
You know, my book publisher once told me, she was like, people think that soulmates always refers to a romantic type of connection. And she was like, I think soulmates come in so many forms, whether it's through even like a mom or a sister. She was like, even a dog. Like, she was like, I firmly believe that soulmates show up in so many different ways. And I don't know, I kind of feel like you guys are these like soul sisters that finally found each other.
So weird. I truly believe like people are definitely placed in your path for a reason, and like I literally like I don't know if this keeps happening to you, but like it keeps replaying in my mind when we walked past each other in the hallway at the hotel. We were just like,
it was just like this salute. Like I can't even explain it. We were just like,
and then like 5 minutes later, we were both downstairs realizing we have the same name. We were staying on the same floor. We have almost the same birthday, we're born the same year, like all these same, like just so many commonalities. And it's just like, this is so weird, and like you cannot make this up. Like
and I promise I had no idea. It's not like I was like, yeah, come here, your soulmate's here.
But like that's what you do, right? Like it's just like, and I just remember I'm so grateful that you are able to create this space where you're like a magnet, and these like-minded people just are attracted to you, and what the energy that you bring and everything that you're able to provide. And you know, even going into these things just so unknowing of what they're going to come out of with it, but you did just an immaculate job of creating the space and pulling just so many different things out of people that they're probably uncomfortable with, you know, on an everyday basis, or, you know, just conversations and feelings and emotions and thoughts and all of these things. And we all just felt so safe in regards to being able to share that with these complete strangers. Like it was really, really crazy, but like we all have like one thing in common. And like, I'm just so grateful for you for being able to create that, like your purpose behind all of that. Like, it's incredible. And so I'm very, very grateful for you in that regard.
Thank you. My heart's like overflowing just listening and receiving that. I receive that fully. So thank you. That means the world to me. And, you know, it's interesting. A memory kind of just came up to my mind. I used to vlog on YouTube, and I documented my life, right? And I documented my preps. And I remember back when it was like really exploding quite a lot, and I had like hundreds of comments, right? I remember people commenting things to me, but like my awareness back then was, you guys are all looking for each other. Like they were looking to me because I was the one with my camera, right? So they were almost like projecting onto me that like, oh, I need to be friends with you, and I encourage you and support you and all these things, right? But I was looking through my comments and I'm like, these are some incredible people. Like they're incredible, and they don't realize that it's them. It's like about this community and them, so I had a heart's desire like way back when to connect all the people that I feel are drawn my direction. Right. So similar to what you're saying, that people are drawn, and I'm like, I think people are drawn so that I can like bring them and then focus them outwards, like towards each other and then towards like their own communities and their own lives too, so I love that you guys got to experience that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's so cool to hear your process in that, because I had no like that's just cool that that's where you arrived in like this passion of yours. Like you're able to like make something out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and just to actually like go through that experience and be there with all of these like-minded, growth-oriented like people. It was just absolutely just I'm still kind of like on this like buzz from it.
Yeah, I know, me too. Okay, can we talk about the prayer circle? So okay, I woke up on Saturday morning, and I'll just tell you guys my process. I woke up, and the first thought that came to mind was I saw it happening. And I was like, oh, it was just instant. And it was just like, essentially, if you guys can imagine speed dating, where like one person sits in a chair, right? And then the other person moves and you go like meet everyone in speed date. I like saw this in my head happening, but it was the girls praying for each other. And I was like, that's interesting. And I just kind of like wrote it down, like prayer speed dating question mark on my notes, and then I just kind of went on throughout the rest of the morning, and I didn't really plan or not plan to do it. But that morning, we were going through the optional devotional, which, I didn't know if people would come to that or if they would want that. And everyone happened to come both days, which I thought was really evident of where their hearts were at and how open everybody was to just simply see what was there for them. And then I remember, mentioning that I was like, it just kind of naturally led into that. Like, so I didn't plan to even talk about prayer in general, but like it started coming out, and then I just felt that that is what needed to be said. And I was like, okay, like this is where this needs to go. And then arrived that moment. And I, as the facilitator, was a little nervous. I was like, people are going to hate me because I know how uncomfortable this can be for people. And I don't know what they're going to think or feel, so I just kind of mentioned, I was like, look, if this intimidates you, it's you just standing in partnership for this person, like speaking these good things over their lives. And it really is just a conversation, between you and God, or you and whatever it is that you believe. Right. So, I want to hear a bit about what was it like to have so many people, like, as I want you to think of, you're the person that's sitting down. You're the person that's just receiving. What was it like to have that many people come in and speak to you? And did any of what they say, did it like surprise you that this was coming out of this person's mouth? Like, what was that experience like for you? Deep sighs.
Yes,
because I'm thinking of what she said to me.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Whoa.
Okay. Oh gosh. Okay.
Okay. I don't even know where to start with all this, but first of all, the fact that you just like revealed that was something that was spur of the moment,
Yeah,
I'm like,
wild.
I'm a little bit mindful.
Oh, really?
Yes, because that was what I was talking about. Like, so you started with the breath work, and like I had this crazy experience. And then as the weekend progressed, there was all these other different things that kept popping up that affirmed that experience of like opening like myself, of like a coming home, so to speak.
Wow.
And that prayer circle was something that I felt like I just naturally, like, I was initially a little bit nervous, but I just felt like the moment I laid hands on the first person that we were, lining up for this like prayer thing, I just felt like boom, instant like just a message for this person.
Wow.
And not only was it just like this oddly, like I'm like, wow, I don't even recognize myself right now, like going through this whole process, but I also just felt so full myself, being the one like receiving and giving. I never really understood why people said like, oh, when I pray for someone else, I feel like I'm also like getting my cup full, or when I'm like helping someone else, like it's filling me up too. And it's like I felt like I really made that connection there of like, when you give from something greater than you, you're the outlet, you're also getting charged.
Yes.
And I felt that truly in those moments. And so the fact that that was spur of the moment, I'm just like, wow, way to like listen to your heart on that one, because it hit me intensely. It was just, yeah.
Wow, thank you. That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
It was really, really incredible. I'm not like a super like spiritual person, so it was a very, very out of my comfort zone. And just being open to it was very impactful in that regard, because everyone always had something a little bit different to say, you know, because essentially what we did was, you know, I'll just kind of explain what the process was like. There was half of us that were sitting down and then half of us standing, and this person is in front of you and you present to them what you would like prayer for or words for or wisdom or whatever. And everyone just had like such a certain different kind of outlook, aspect, different words, a different spin on everything. And I mean, I was in tears the entire time.
Yeah, Sarah kept looking at me going, she kept going, I'm not a crier. Like there's so many people that kept looking at me like they're bawling and they're saying, I'm not a crier. And I'm like, I know. This is what happens. It's fine. We'll get through this together.
But there's just like a very few, you know, a few different of these conversations where I just felt just overwhelmed, just so overwhelmed with, and it's kind of similar to like the thing that we did in Utah a few weeks ago, where it's just like you're just receiving all of this. It's like I've never received that much emotion and just power at once, ever. And it's crazy what that can do to you and what that can bring out of you. Like it's wild. And same thing, like when you're, you know, hearing all of these other people's, you know, wishes and struggles and everything like that. And same thing, it's like when you would say something and they would receive it and they would say, you know, like, oh my gosh, like that really resonated with me, or that's really something that I needed to hear, like thank you. And you know, oh my gosh, like no one has ever said that in that way, or you know, everyone just has just a little bit different of a twist on it all. And I think all of that together, like I'm getting goosebumps right now. Just like it was just so, you could feel the energy, you could feel the power, and it was really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And yeah, go ahead. Did you have something else?
No, just being on the so that was like prayer end, but being on the receiving end, like I felt like some people were praying for things for you that you're like, I didn't even know I wanted that. I didn't even know I needed prayer for that. But like it just like the truth of the words just hit you different. It's home. You're just like, wow. I feel like I walked away from that entire weekend. Just my cup is just overflowing. Absolutely.
You know, and I have to kind of echo what you had said at the beginning about how when you're giving from a source that's more than you, you actually feel filled up as well. A few people ask, they're like, oh man, you must be exhausted after your event. You must be recovering. And I'm like, no, I feel so full. Like, I'm like, you know, I'm not tired from that. I actually felt so filled up and so like I wasn't pouring to empty. There was like this overflow. It's like almost like this waterfall on top of me. And I was like, no, there's more. Like there's actually more. If you want more, come on over, you know? And it was really such a beautiful experience. And, you know, Sarah, sorry, I keep having to specify because both your names are Sarah, but Sarah Budzyn. I don't know. I just kind of feel like you're in the season of learning to receive, because I feel like you are a giver and you're a doer. And I think there's a lot of power in learning to receive. So I feel like, you know, that experience in FitCon Utah with that like gratitude circle around you, and then, you know, the prayer, I feel like, you know, sometimes in life we are experiencing things in patterns and in repeats because, you know, God, higher power, whatever you want to believe, is kind of like, hey, like I need you to learn something here. There's something here for you. And maybe for you right now, you're in a season of receiving, you know, love, abundance, gratitude, these things that want to be actually be poured onto you. And the more that you receive, you know, from God, higher power, others around you, the more you'll actually be able to give. So I love that you're in this season of learning to give to yourself time so that you can have that energy and that overflow to do more and be more effective. You know, sometimes for all of us, we think to do more, we need to physically do more. And it's like, no, we actually need to do less and be more effective with the things that we are doing. And I really feel like once we really start to learn that and practice it in our lives, we can be so much more effective and actually get more done with less, which is definitely my goal.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree. And it's something that like I know I've been, go, 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 and I give, 110 into everything that I do and I touch, and I want to, help this person and help this person. And I guess we'll get into what Sarah had said to me in the prayer circle.
Yeah.
She specifically said to me, I feel like you're running this race and you just need to slow down and walk.
Wow.
And I was just like, whoa. And then like the same day, I think I was listening to Mike. I know you listen to Mike, and I was listening to one of his songs, and there was a lyric in it that never stood out to me until after. And it's like, life's not a race, gotta pace it. And I was like, whoa.
Stop.
I sent it to Sarah, and I was like, what just happened? Like, and like that was just like a very full circle. I'm like, I gotta slow down and just like absorb and be able to exactly like you said, receive all of these things and formulate who I am in order to be the best person that I can be to give to others.
Yeah. Wow, that's huge. And, I'll have to share too, that's a lot of what I'm doing in my life too. Leading into the retreat, there was just so much on my plate and so much to get done. And I feel like the retreat experience reminded me of what it's like to truly be in flow. Because we had a lot going on, but I felt so in flow. I didn't feel overworked. I didn't feel, pulled in a million different directions. Like I was just so at peace, so in flow, like everything just went naturally. And that stark like contrast and difference to how my life has currently been like recently, I was like, no, we got to make some changes. We got to free up some time here, because in that flow, like beautiful things come out of that. And in this rushed, hurried pace, never like resting, it's just exhaustion and it's emptiness, and there's nothing there for me there. So why create a life where that's, my routine and my pattern? So Sarah Forsythe, what's kind of like a takeaway, or how is this experience going to change how you show up in your everyday life? Is there something that was on your mind that you're like, okay, I need to do this differently or implement this thing? What's kind of a takeaway that you have?
Ooh, that is a great question. I feel like, honestly, I've already won. Like, I feel like I exited that weekend, and it's like, there's just, as I was saying, it's like I've finally come home to a part of myself that, if I feel like there's just this wholeness there that I can
Wow.
finally give from. And for the longest time, I felt like I always called it my missing puzzle piece. And I've been like searching for it, and it's like all along it's just been this spiritual identity part of me that I've neglected for so long. And it's not that like I didn't have that I was like, absolutely like I'm just not a spiritual person, blah blah blah. It's like I can't even explain like the kind of block that it was. But going through that breath work, it really just like opened that place for me. And now I feel like when I just carry myself differently. There's like an extra like confidence, and there's like extra like compassion and like this love for myself that I feel like kind of can be this carrier for other people. Like I feel like I can finally hold up another person because I'm already so whole, and I'm not trying to fill that space with whatever else other than what the true identity of what it is like be filled with. And so like I guess from just that alone, just being able to like be this person that can affect greater change is what I feel like I've already won, like exiting that weekend.
Yeah. Wow. That is incredibly beautiful. Sarah Budzyn, I know you shared a lot. Do you have a takeaway, a major kind of thing that's on your mind?
It was really just, and kind of like you said, at the beginning when you asked, like, if you can evolve in a couple of days, it's like, absolutely yes. Like I said, all of this came really at a really good time in my, own personal life, and just season of change and kind of shifting directions with certain things. And, being able to put that into myself and take time to slow down, really, focus on myself so that I can outpour that to others too. So it's really a big kind of like aha moment where it's like, this is what I need to do to be the best person that I can be in order to give to others. And that's, with my job, with my personal relationships, everything. So
Yeah.
What would you guys say to the listeners who, they weren't at the retreat, they don't have one on their schedule anytime soon, but they're really seeking to evolve in their lives. They're seeking to have some sort of personal growth or transformation like you guys did this weekend. Is there any piece of advice that you could share with them?
if you're apprehensive, lean into that. Just take that jump. You go in with an open mind, an open heart, and be open to any personal changes, growth experiences that come, because they will come, and they will come at a rapid rate, and they will be very intense.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing negative from it. Invest in yourself, in your personal growth, in your personal experiences, in your relationships, so that you can be, who you're supposed to, and grow into that.
Yeah. And I feel like, I just feel like, don't be discouraged with where you're at right now. If you don't feel like you are content with where you're at, good. Like she said, lean into it. You shouldn't be content. There's something in you that wants to change. There's something in you that wants to evolve. And it's not like we don't evolve into new people. We evolve off of our foundation of what we're on, and that's constantly being built up. And I just feel like it's so easy to like you said, with social media and whatnot, get like lost in like the buzz of it all. And it's like, this person's getting married, this person's doing this, and there's this like it creates this chaos. And it's like, you just lean into where you're at in life right now, and just know that if you're following the breadcrumbs that are in front of you, you will arrive. You will arrive to the place that you need to be, and it will be in the perfect timing.
Wow, I could not have said that better. Thank you guys so much for sharing your time and your energy on today's call, and it makes my heart really happy to see you guys sitting next to each other in person. Don't forget about me.
No, I said you gotta come to Michigan this summer.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I would love to, for sure. All right, guys. Well, thank you for being on, and I will hopefully see you guys in Michigan when I come visit the Transcend HQ.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Of
And thank you
course.
for just everything this past weekend. It was incredible. Life-changing.
Life-changing.
Hugs. Love you guys.